Hey, what's up everyone? Ralph here. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 6 ways in which you can invest your first $1,000. So if you're someone that has $1,000 available to use, but you're not sure what to do with it, then definitely keep watching this video. Also, even though $1,000 isn't life-changing money, don't discount the impact that putting that money to good use can have on you, not both financially, but also psychologically. It may not make you rich, but it could be the start of developing good habits on your path to building wealth long term. So let's start off with the first thing you can do. And keep in mind, like, this is not any particular order, right? So I'm gonna share with you 6 things, but so it's not any particular order because obviously I don't know your financial situation. So it's not something where I can say, oh, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. These are just 6 things that you can do with your first $1,000. So the first one is paying off high interest debt, right? Now, obviously $1,000, depending on your situation, I don't know how much debt you have. Obviously $1,000 is not gonna clear everything, but putting $1,000 on any high interest debt that you have, that's $1,000 less that you have to pay interest on. So, and it's a good way to get started when it comes to paying off your debt. Seeing that number go down, and also that's gonna help you pay like less on your monthly expenses. So that's one thing that you can do. Take that $1,000, pay it on some high interest debt, and then just knock that out. The second thing you wanna do is build an emergency fund, right? I think I read something on CNBC where they said that 60% of Americans don't have $1,000 if there was an emergency. And that's just unacceptable, right? But so if I were you, I would put that. I would take $1,000, put that in an emergency fund. They say anywhere. They recommend usually anywhere from 3 to 6 months, but obviously of expenses. But obviously $1,000 is not going to cover that, depending on your situation. But anyway, it's a good way to start building on that. Now, what I would do is that I wouldn't just leave that money in some regular bank account, right? Because obviously your bank or checking account, your savings account, they're not going to give you that much on interest, right? What I would do is I would put that in a high yield savings account, and usually these are online, so there's like no brick and mortar building, so that's why they're able to offer you high interest interest on your savings. So I would look for a high yield savings account. The one I use is Wealthfront. You don't have to use that one, but there's plenty of others that you can use. And I think the one I have, Wealthfront, they offer about 4.5%, which is pretty good, right? That's you're gonna see like there's some that offer probably 5, but the ones that I've seen like anywhere from 4.5% to 5. But the one I use, which is Wealthfront, that offers about 4.5%. But like I said, there's many others that you can do. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure instead of keeping it in some bank account where you get like 0.03% on your money, look for a high yield savings account where you can stash that money and then also build. Once you put that $1,000, then you can build on that in the future. Now, the third thing is opening up a Roth IRA. And you want to make sure when you open that Roth IRA, you want to make sure you max that out. I think the max contribution every for this year is like is $6,000. So you want to make sure you max that out, open one up, and make sure you max that out because you got to start thinking about your retirement, right? I think a lot of people tend to rely on Social Security. Obviously, that's not meant to, you're not meant to live off your Social Security. That's just supposed to be supplemental income. So you want to make sure you start funding for your retirement early on, and a Roth IRA is a good way to start. Now, the fourth thing is investing in an index fund or ETF, right? This is something that I do. And if you're someone that's getting started with investing, investing in like an index fund or ETF is a good way to start. It's a great way to invest passively, right? Because for when it comes to investing in stocks, a lot of people worry about doing the research. With ETFs, like there's not much research you have to do. All you gotta do is really research. The 2 main things are like getting in the S&P 500 or the total stock market. Once you've did your little research there, you invest, and it's just something that you can just invest passively, like whether you invest every week or something you invest every month. But it's something that I use personally. I invest in like ETFs. I've invested in index funds, so that's a good way to start and use your $1,000 if you're someone that's not really trying to get into the research of investing in stocks. Now, the fifth one is investing in individual stocks. Now, for this requires a lot of research, right? I would always recommend that you do your research. This is not somewhere like invest in Apple, invest in Tesla because you've heard them before. It's just something where you want to make sure if you're going to invest in individual stocks, which are a little bit more riskier, you want to make sure you do your research because this is an active way of investing. This is where you got to look at their PE ratio, the pricing earnings ratio, or you got to start researching their debt. You want to research who's running the company. So there's a lot of research that goes into dealing when it comes to individual stocks. 'Cause like I said, it's a very active way to invest in stocks. And like I said, do your research. But if you got $1,000, getting started with individual stocks is a nice way to go. Like for me personally, like I said, the majority of my stocks are in ETFs and like index funds. But if you're someone that's looking to get individual stocks, like I said, make sure do your research. And finally, if you got $1,000, one of the most important things you can do is invest in yourself, right? Whether that's reading books, listening to audiobooks, watching YouTube videos. You want to make sure you're investing in yourself when it comes to your education, because for a lot of people, the lack of financial literacy, the lack of financial education is a big reason why a lot of people struggle when it comes to building wealth. So we want to make sure you're always constantly educating yourself, reading, researching, reading books, even playing board games. I have this board game called Cash Flow Quadrant from Rich Dad Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki, and it's like Monopoly on steroids, right? So it's a great way that you just want to make sure you're educating yourself in terms of like understanding money, understanding finances, understanding about building wealth and building assets. So make sure you're always investing in yourself. This is something that goes on for the rest of your life. You don't ever stop. So there's something you're constantly learning because things are always changing. So investing in yourself is if you have $1,000, I would definitely use that to just make sure you're investing in books and videos or courses or whatever it is, and make sure you're learning about financial literacy. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you got any comments or questions, make sure to leave it down below. Hit the like button and share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so you guys take care and have a good one. Later.